All right, talking with Coach Jason Herring from the Refugio Bobcats. Coach, coming off a state championship, what can we expect this year?
Well, you know, expectations are always high in Refugio. That's why it's a special place. I mean, we just expect to be in the playoffs, and honestly, if we don't go to state and win state, it's kind of a disappointing season. I don't say that egotistically at all. That's just kind of that was pretty much the standard when I got here. Even though it had been a while since they had been to the finals, they'd still gone 3 or 4 rounds deep. But I think we've raised that bar, and now, you know, we've been in 4 of the last 6 finals. So if you come up short like we did 2 or 3 years ago, we got beat in the quarterfinals by Mason. It's kind of a disappointing season. So, you know, we're not going to shy away from it. Our kids love being ranked number 1. They love they love the expectations. In fact, they take offense to it. When Dave Kimball's picked Mart in front of us, our kids were like, "What the heck, Coach?" Everybody says, "How are you going to avoid a letdown or complacency?" And I told somebody the other day, Dave Campbell's magazine took care of that for me, because our kids are fired up that somebody would put us second. You know, our kids are like, "How dare they put us second?" So we've had a great camp. We had a great summer strength and conditioning. We averaged about 80 kids a night in our summer strength and conditioning program. We've got 78 kids out for football in the smallest classification there is. I mean, we're just really blessed, and expectations are real high. We probably don't quite have the depth. 1 deep, I think we're really good, really talented. We probably don't quite have the depth that we have had the last 2 or 3 years. But, you know, if we can stay healthy and continue to get better, I like our chances.
Nice. Well, you mentioned graduation. You lost a lot of talented kids. Who are some of the ones we should pay attention to this year?
Okay, well, we took our offensive MVP of the championship game, Jacoby Avery, and we moved him to tailback. So he's going to be our running back. Now, we're still going to wildcat him and use him not just as a running quarterback, but wildcat just means he's in at quarterback, and we're going to run our offense. We've got a very talented sophomore quarterback, Jared Kelly. Just a tremendous athlete. He's 6'3", 210 already as a sophomore. Unbelievable baseball player, unbelievable football player, rocket for an arm. So I think Jacoby moving to tailback, and then we've got freshman Cito Mascoro back, who's played running back last year, and Darian Ramirez back, who played running back. So with Jacoby, we've got 3 excellent tailbacks or running backs, and of course with Jacoby and Jared, we've got 2 awesome quarterbacks. So I feel real good about that. Where we have the most new faces is up front. Up front, we graduated Kobe, my son, and Trace, who are both at UTEP, and they were 4-year starters on the offensive line. We were supposed to have 3 returners, but one moved off to Houston, the Tagle kid. So all we have left is Trey Upton and Armani Brown, and both of those are just, Trey was first team All-State last year, center in both polls. Armani Brown, as a sophomore, started both ways, started as a freshman, and just 5 days ago got a full ride offer from Syracuse, ACC. Nice. So obviously Armani's real talented. So the 2 we have back up front are very special, but there's 3 key spots that we have to fill in. Something about Refugio that makes it real special is and especially when you got such a great class like we just graduated, we have 3 seniors that have actually stepped into those roles, who are very good football players. They've just always been behind Kobe, Trace, and you understand what I'm saying. They've been behind some very special kids. So I've always thought that those kids could probably play for any other school in the state, 2 or 3A. But because we're so talented and we have such an awesome group of kids that just graduated, those guys have to be backups. And saying that, lots of times we have the games in control at halftime, and these kids get to play a lot of football. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I just haven't seen these guys ever be the man. They've never had to really do it. They're great kids. They've been in the program all 6 years. They're strong, very athletic. They just were always a little bit behind that senior class that we had last year. So we're real optimistic, to be honest with you. It's nice to have 3 seniors just to plug in, even though they've never been starters, that have been in the program for 6 years. And honestly, if you count all the playoff games we've been allowed to play, and them only playing a half, they've probably got as much experience as a starter in most schools.
Right.
So, but I need to see it. I need to see it against live competition. Our first scrimmage the other night against San Diego and Mathis, they did extremely well. Extremely well. We had 17 first downs in only 20 plays, scored 4 times, and our defense only gave up 1 first down the entire scrimmage. So I needed to see that. That was a big test for us because that's the first time I'd seen them against live varsity competition. In practice we have to go against JV. So we're real optimistic. Alfredo Villarreal is one of those seniors linemen. Oscar Lerma is one of those senior linemen. And then Sippy Solis is one of those senior linemen. And we're pairing them up with Trey, returning first team All-State, and Armani, all area, all everything, and just received a full offer from Syracuse ACC as his first offer. So we feel pretty good. A spot where I think we're going to be extremely special that probably nobody even saw coming is tight end. There's a young man named Matt Castillo that always has been an offensive lineman, and we converted him last year right before the state championship game. He's 6'4", 300 pounds, has tremendous feet. We moved him right before the state championship game because we didn't really have a backup. We had some issues and we lost our backup. Anyway, we moved him just in case something happened to our tight end in the state championship game. And I don't know if you remember, but in the third quarter, our tight end drove somebody, bounced on his neck, and got hauled out of AT&T. So we threw Matt in. First time he had very few reps, 3 days of backup reps. And he absolutely played unbelievable against Crawford. I mean, blew us away, beyond our expectations.
Nice.
That whole rest of the third quarter and both of those drives in the fourth quarter, he's just latching onto people and mauling them. So we're real excited about number 48, Matt Castillo. He's a senior, 6'4", 6'5", 300, tremendous feet, an athlete for a big kid. He's had trouble ever being our starter on the offensive line because we throw so many screens and we're so multiple. Our offensive line needs to be a little bit quicker and a little bit more athletic. We don't really road grade, so to speak, like some. Tight end's perfect for Matt because when we're in our spread, another kid's in. When we're in our tight end stuff, he's in, and we're asking him to road grade.
Right.
That's what we're asking him to do. So we're real excited about that. Our wide receiver spot, we've probably got the most depth that we've ever had. I don't know that we have a Robert Ortiz or a Lynx Hawthorne, just a standout, but we've got 8 kids, 2 deep at least at every position, that are all very fast and very talented. We're not very big, so we don't have that standout, but I feel like we've got 8 really good receivers. So offensively, we're real optimistic. Everybody says, well, are you going to pound the rock like last year? Are you going to go back to the spread with Quintanilla? And what I've told everybody is with Quintanilla 3 or 4 years ago when we won it, we were probably 70 to 80% pass.
Yeah.
Last year we were probably 70 to 80% run. We're going to be right in between those. We're not going to go back to 80% pass, but we won't be 80% run either. I mean, Jared's too talented. Even Jacoby throwing the ball. Jacoby threw for 1,600 yards last year. We're just too talented at the wide receiver spot, and I don't want to be one-dimensional. I thought last year with that offensive line that we had and with Jacoby at quarterback that we would be primarily a better running football team and just take advantage of the passes when we could and use play action. This year, we got a new offensive line. Last year, most of those kids had been starting for 4 years.
Right.
We still had Armani, still had Trey, Scobie. I mean, we were loaded up front. It was the strength of our team, no doubt about it. So anyway, last year I thought, and we moved Big Jalen to tailback, and that was kind of the deal. We're going to pound the rock, and we're going to be a little bit one-dimensional. We're still going to play action you, but we're not going to sling it around a bunch. We're going to control the clock. We had a great defense. The championship game was a perfect footprint of what we had envisioned.
Right.
Keeping a good offense off the field. We kept the ball for a crazy amount of time in that championship game. I don't even remember what it was, but it was like 3-1.
Right.
The amount of time Crawford had, long drives, 12 plays. I mean, it worked to perfection. And probably is why we won it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I've got 3 really good tailbacks. I don't have, not one of them is 6'2", 225 like Jalen.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
Jared is an unbelievable, he's already got a full scholarship offer from TCU to play baseball. He throws it 94 miles an hour. He's just a phenomenal athlete, and he's got a great arm. So with our speed at receiver, with our new offensive line, with us not having a big 6'2", 225 tailback all the time to pitch it to and lean on people, I think the best combination to make this team as good as we can make it is to be very multiple, to try to be honestly 50-50. I know a lot of people say that, but we're going to make sure that we're able to throw the football, throw the ball down the field, be in spread, be in tight end. We're going to be very, very, very multiple.
Right.
And I'm not going to lie to you, Jacoby's a real special runner. You saw that in the state championship game. Cito and Darian, we've got 3 excellent tailbacks. But I think we'll be a better team instead of just primarily throwing it or primarily pounding it. I think we really need to try to be balanced. I mean, 50-50, and because that's what's going to make us the very best and make us hard to defend.
Well, my next question is gives you a chance to sing the praises of some of your coaches. At the pro level, if you need a tight end, you go hire one.
Right.
At the college, you go recruit one. At high school, you deal with what you get. So talk a little bit about how the coaching staff adjusts.
I've always said, Chris, and this is no diss to pro or college at all, but I've always thought that some of the very, 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 very best coaching comes at the high school level. I've said one of the hardest things in the world to do is win a high school state championship in Texas. Because number one, it's almost a whole nother half season. It's 16 games. Mm-hmm. I mean, in the pros, there's only 32 teams. You win a couple playoff games, you're there. You see what I'm saying? In college, until recently, as long as you were ranked 1 or 2, you were going to win it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Not that that's easy. It's never easy to win a championship. Don't take that wrong. But they get to pick their players. Not only is the setup a little different, they get to choose. They go out and recruit a tailback. Go out. Us high school coaches in a place like Texas where there's so many that do a great job and so many that have unbelievable facilities and talent and support, we have to take what we get.
And you have 200 other teams you're going against.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And we've got to beat out 200 teams. We've got to, and all of us, we have to take what we get and mold it into a championship team. Perfect example is Big Matt. Big Matt probably wouldn't play tight end, maybe anywhere else. But for us, that's what we have, and he fits. Mm-hmm. Quarterbacks. I mean, you get them. We've been blessed, but sometimes you have one that can throw. Sometimes in college, if they're a throwing team, that's what they recruit. Only throwing quarterbacks. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? If they're a pro style, that's what they recruit. Well, we've got to. That's why we mold. Everybody says, "Well, why do y'all tweak things so?" Well, that's why. That's why we tweak our offenses, because I feel like, well, number one, I want to win. Period, and I want to win it all. That's what drives me. I love the kids to death. Yes, I want to teach them all the values and do all the things that everybody does. But if we're going to do it, I'm just wired to believe that we're going to do it the very best we can do it. And I'm going to die trying to beat you every single time I play you. That's just the way I'm wired. I can't help it. I'm not saying winning's the most important thing. It's not. It's the benefit. But I believe if you do the other stuff right, the winning will take care of itself. I do think when you get to that ultimate level of probably the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the finals, everybody's loaded. Mm-hmm. Crawford's got great coaches. Crawford's got great kids. Mart's got great coaches, great kids. There's a slither of a difference between getting to the finals and losing it or getting to the quarters and losing it. And that's where I think the quality of coaches, the scheme, who's willing to redefine and reskin the cat a little bit. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've got an offense and a defense that I'm real comfortable in, what I cut my teeth on. But we haven't always been able to do that. We've had to grow and adapt because I feel like the expectations of this community and expectations I put on myself are that we're going to be the very best we can be. So when we had Quintanilla, all of a sudden we're 80% pass. Yeah. Last year when we had a great offensive line, a great defense in Jalen, we're 80% run. That's night and day difference. It's night and day difference. Most coaches, it seems to me that very many coaches, if they're slot T, by gosh, they're slot T. That's what we do. The kids will adapt. Well, I'm not sure you can be as good as you could. I want to reach our maximum potential. Mm-hmm. What makes this place real special is the way that it's set up. Our school, I get some of the very best assistants in the country. I mean, it is set up impeccable. We don't have to fight for athletic periods. Every coach is going to be in every athletic period. We pay extremely well. They take care of us. They pay our teachers above base. They pay you. One thing about Refugio is if you do the work, they're gonna pay you. Now we don't have tons of money. We're not the highest paid by any stretch, but they're fair. They've always been very fair. So it allows me to hire what I think are, there's probably 4 or 5 guys in there that could easily be head coaches anywhere else. But number one, they stay because we're winning. Number two, they stay because it's set up so great. Their teaching schedule is awesome. We don't have to fight for athletic period. We get extra days. We get 20 extra days they pay us for 2 days and pay us for something. You understand what I'm saying? And there's a lot of schools that's just expected. You're just gonna do it and you don't get paid for it. I mean, so I'm able to hire very, very, very quality coaches. And what's awesome about that is they stay.
Yeah.
They stay. Our continuity is second to none. I mean, Drew Cox, my O-line offensive coordinator, well, O-line now he's assistant head coach because I promoted his son to OC and promoted Drew to assistant head coach. But Drew's been with me going on 20 years. I brought him from Sonora. He's never been anywhere else. Him and I have been together forever. Eli Boxell, my defensive coordinator, was with me in Sonora. Been here all 7 years. I remember as a little kid, I got caught up in the Big Red Nebraska machine. They had a coach named Tom Osborne, and they had a coaching staff. I think Coach Darling maybe. I don't remember the names, but I remember most of those guys had been together like 20 years, and they were a machine. And Osborne always said the continuity is second to none. And I've always thought, there's something to be said about that. I don't have to break in new coaches. I don't have to coach coaches.
Right.
We can all concentrate on coaching kids. I mean, that's priceless. And then the way that our school allows us to even run our program, we don't have a junior high coach. We don't have a freshman coach. We don't have a JV coach. We've got 7 men and myself, 8 total, and we coach every single position 7th grade up. So Drew Cox, our offensive line coach, from the time you get in 7th grade, those little kids know no other coach but Drew Cox.
Nice.
The running backs know no other coach but Jason Herring. And what that does is it's tremendous, and I think they get quality coaching instead of just some young coach, 2 young coaches say y'all going to do the junior high. I think it gives us a chance to be successful. I think our kids are better prepared sub-varsity wise than most people we play, but there's a continuity, and what happens is if we have 28 8th graders playing football, most of the time 19 or 20 of them make the transition to high school because they've had the same coaches. They feel cared about, they feel loved, they don't feel like stepchildren. That's all they know. I mean, I'm telling you, we coach them exactly like we coach the varsity. Exactly. We just do it in the morning.
Yeah.
And don't do it after school. Now it's watered down a little bit. Instead of 5 schemes, they're only going to run 2 running schemes, and instead of 10 pass schemes, they're only going to run 3. But it's the same guys coaching them. So the continuity and the carryover into high school, I'm telling you, our 8th grade quarterback could probably run our varsity practice. I mean, the terminology, the verbiage, the wristbands, the defense, everything is exactly the same from the exact same man.
Nice.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but most schools won't allow you. Most schools won't allow you to do that because it's difficult. You got to give every coach then maybe all my coaches have to be in the junior high athletic period, the high school athletic period. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to be at a school that's willing to do that for you and to support you and that understands how important athletics is. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it isn't just all about winning here. Our athletic program, no doubt, sets the tone for our kids to be successful.
Right.
Our kids, so many of our kids come from not very much that when they come to athletics, this is the one place where they know they're going to be loved, where they know we're going to feed them and they're going to get a good meal. They know I'm going to spoil them and get them the very best equipment. I don't have a booster club. That's another ironic thing. We have no booster club. I am the booster club. I do all the fundraising and I spend every penny on the kids.
Yeah.
The girls, the boys, everybody. So our kids know when they come here, they're going to be loved, they're going to be coached hard, but they're going to feel appreciated and it's going to feel like home. And because of that, that's what keeps many of them in school. I didn't know this until last year. My superintendent told me, but we've been here 10 years. There's never been one kid that played for us that didn't graduate.
Nice.
Not one kid. Not one single kid. And our kids so many of our kids come from such tough backgrounds and broken homes. That's a remarkable feat that I didn't even realize. But we nurture them. I mean, here, I've said this before, if you're going to be the head coach at Refugio, number one, you better have thick skin, period. Your wife better have thick skin, but you better be you better be ready to be father, mother, counselor, preacher, dad, friend. I mean, there's so many hats involved, and not just the head coach. My coaching staff wears so many hats. It's incredible. And if you're not wired that way, it won't work, and you won't fit in or last very long, because it's a very high needs job. Very, very, very needy kids. And we just got an impeccable, unbelievable coaching staff. And I'll be honest with you, when I interview, I talk about these same things, and I tell them, if you're not high energy, love kids, very patient, willing to go pick up a kid for practice, or go take a kid to HEB for a notebook to help them stay up here till 8 o'clock at night and help a kid do a research paper. If you're not wired like that, you won't fit in. And what I've got is 7 other men that follow and fit that philosophy and embrace it. And I think there's a lot that goes into being successful, and see it carries over. We've got a great rapport with our teachers. I mean, there's no dividing line between our academic staff and the coaches like at some schools.
Right.
There's no animosity. All they know, I'm one text and one phone call away, and that kid's going to pay, and we're going to get it done. And we have a great working relationship. Everywhere you turn in Refugio, you get the same answer and you hit the same wall. Whether you're a kid, whether you're an upset parent, from the school board to the soup to the principal to the AD to the coaches to the teachers, we're all on the same page. I know that sounds crazy. I have never seen a place set up this good, ever, where everybody's pulling for one goal. And we help each other, we support each other, and as a result, we're able to use football for something way bigger in the big scheme of things, and that's kids graduating and walking across the stage and having a chance to go on and do something with their life. And I mean, there's nothing more rewarding than that. That right there means more than all of these rings put together. Period.
Awesome. Wow, I'm ready to quit my job and come apply for anything here. If you could, tell me about your district. What do you expect?
Our district, top to bottom, is one of it's always one of the toughest ones in all of 2A. You got us and Shiner usually at the top battling, but even the 3, 4, and 5 are real close. I don't know a lot about Kennedy. They just hired a brand new coach. That one's I'm not sure about, but Yorktown will put 11 of the better athletes in our district on the field. Weimar is unbelievably talented and huge. They always are. And then Shiner and us are the 2 stables. So, I guess on paper it probably looks like us and Shiner, maybe a little bit inching for first or second, but you can't ever tell. And then maybe Yorktown and Weimar fighting for third or fourth, but that could go any way. But real close, you've got Grenada, who coached Steve Wright, who won a championship at Farmersville. And he's going on his 4th year, and he's got that place going. So you've got 5 teams, and who knows with Kennedy. I don't know the new coach. I don't know the situation. I'm not sure. I don't know a lot about Kennedy because it's all brand new. But I honestly believe of those 5 teams, in any order, any of them could make the 4 spots. And whoever makes it is going to be battle tested, because you're just not going. Nobody's going to blow any of those guys out. I mean, if you beat them by 14 points, you blew them out. It's just there's just not that much difference. By the time you go through a Shiner and a Weimar and a Yorktown in district, and then you throw on top of that our preseason, which includes 4A Navarro, 3A Edna, 3A Goliad, who are all ranked. All of those are ranked. Very good football teams in their division. So whoever gets out, if we're able to survive that, we're going to be battle tested. The district top to bottom. I think somebody told me there's 4 coaches out of our 6 that have all won state championships.
Wow.
I think that's right. I know that Hoosman at Weimar won it at Schulenburg. I know that Keith Wright at Grenada won it at Farmersville. I know that Cherney won it at Shiner, and then of course we won it here. So there's 4 of the 6 coaches have won a state championship. I mean, so there's great, not only great talent, tradition, but there's great coaching in this district. And every Friday night, you got to be ready to strap it up. So I love it. It's an awesome district. When you get to the playoffs, you know you're going to be ready.
Yeah. Well, cool. Good luck on the season.
You bet, God. Thanks so much. I'm real appreciative for everything. I'm in a real special place. I love Refugio. This will be my 11th season, and I hope to retire here. It's a place like none other I've ever seen, and real blessed with great kids and great talent, and I'm real appreciative.
Nice. Go Bobcats.
This show is brought to you by the book, All I Need to Know I Learned from My Texas High School Football Coach. a handbook of wisdom for parents, young people, and yes, even coaches. Head over to www.learnedfromcoach.com and order your copy to support sharing the stories of these great coaches and leaders. That's learnedfromcoach.com.
LoneStarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more. Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football.